You can call me that. I just want to acknowledge right now that I'm being filmed for my own purposes so I can see what I need to improve and what I did well today. But today we're going to start with a bit of an icebreaker activity. So I'd like to take out a fresh sheet of paper, a lined paper preferably.
And it must be fresh, Gareth, not stale.
Sorry, Miss Fairburn.
Who?
Okay, so when you have your piece of paper, I'm going to get you to write a line that starts a story. Any story you want, just about one line, the very first line of the story. And then, when you finish writing your line, I'd like you to pass it to the next person. And that person reads the first line that you wrote, and then they fold it over so nobody else can see it, and they write a line that would go along with that line. So you can only read one line ahead of your story. And then it gets passed on until a certain point when you decide that it should be done. Do you guys understand? Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like going through the whole class?
Probably not, but maybe a few rows or something. We'll see. And then afterwards, maybe we'll read two particularly funny ones, because they're pretty funny after we review them. Okay, you guys can unfold your stories now and read them. And if somebody wants to read some particularly funny ones,
We're gonna read this.
that would be great.
Let's not have it here.
Would you like to go?
Okay, this last thing.
Okay, hold on.
Once upon a time, Gareth was brutally murdered by a man named Bob. Bob was his imaginary friend, and Gareth was doing hard drugs at the time, so he died. No one really cared about Gareth. He is dreaming.
He is dreaming.
So it's one of those classic, and then you woke up.
It's not that.
Once upon a time, Michael fell asleep and died. Then he came back to life. The bed was pretty warm this morning, so I fell back to sleep and took school. What are the conditions you want to rewrite there? Okay.
It was the best of times, it was the worst of times, and Oliver Twist was hungry. So he decided to buy a pineapple. He took the pineapple into the bathroom and placed it in the bathtub, where it would stay, ... until the end of time, or until he got hungry, whichever came first.
Does anybody else have one they want to read? Last call.
Oh, Claudia is contemplating one. She's like, should I read this?
Someone give me a good one.
Or should we publish it?
Someone give me a good one.
This
I don't think that one. That was so weird.
This one's good. Read that one.
Oh, okay. Okay, can I read that?
Yeah.
Once upon a time, there was a bad man named Hanson. He was so sexy, all the girls couldn't handle it. He loves One Direction. He doesn't like Two Directions or Justin Bieber. He just loves Jesus. Praise the Lord. I went to private school.
I have no idea what we're writing.
Thank you guys. Do you want to send One Direction?
Okay, end the story. I went to private school.
Alright, yeah, pass the stories this way.
They were talking about Jesus, and I was like, I understand, bro.
Fan fiction. Can you raise your hand if you know what fan fiction is? Does somebody want to define it for me?
She does.
No, I don't.
Anybody? Yeah, go for it.
It's like stories written by sometimes like amateur authors or sometimes professional authors based on a work of fiction that's already been created.
Yeah. Awesome. So I found this really good quote about fan fiction, and it says, "Fan fiction is what literature might look like if it were reinvented from scratch after a nuclear apocalypse by a band of brilliant pop culture junkies trapped in the steel bunker. They don't do it for money, that's not what it's about. The writers write it and put it up online just for the satisfaction. They're fans, but they're not silent, couch-bound consumers of media. The culture talks to them, and they talk back into the culture in its own language. And I don't need to define it again, because that was a really great definition. And so, fanfiction is not necessarily just a modern phenomenon. It's been around for a really long time. Charlotte Bronte, who wrote Jane Eyre, actually wrote fan fiction about the Duke of Wellington, who was the general in the Battle of Waterloo, and he won the battle against Napoleon. So she wrote fan fiction, her and her sisters, about him and his sons. And so the modern way that we know fan fiction now is more, it was popularized in Star Trek fan magazines, and it was mostly authored by women at the time. And so, like, these magazines would come out and they had like fan fiction in them, and like also like tributes to the Star Trek characters and stuff. And it's become more popular now with the help of the internet. So websites like fanfiction.net have popped up where people can post all different kinds of fan fiction about books and movies, and there's probably video game fan fiction and all that kind of stuff. For example, fanfiction.net, which has been around since 1998, has thousands of stories, and on that website there's actually almost 500 stories about To Kill a Mockingbird that people have written. And it's like basically almost any book you could think of or movie. I suggest if you want, when you go home, to like think of a random book or movie and go check it out, see if you can find anything. Though be careful, sometimes they can get a little risque. And so now I'm going to go on to talking about point of view. Can anyone name one type of point of view that you might find in a novel? Like the way the novel is written, like the pronouns are used generally.
First person.
Yeah, first person. Anybody else? Okay. So the most common types of point of view are first and third person. Most of the time you're going to find novels in those points of view. So first person is when they use pronouns like I and me and my rather than he or she, and you get more inside the narrator's head and you can hear their thoughts and stuff like that. But sometimes you have to be aware with first person that the narrator has their own biases, and they can be unreliable, so they could tell you lies or they might just not understand what's going on. And in third person, the narrator is not necessarily part of the passive characters. They use pronouns like he, she, or it, one, they, and they can tell you all of what the characters are doing, but not necessarily what they're thinking, depending on the limitations and such. And then, but standing on third person, there are two types of point of view within that. There's limited, which you only get the insight of one character at a time usually, and whether it's a major or minor character. So like with the Harry Potter series, you only are in Harry's mind, but sometimes one other character at a time, but never more than one. And then there's omniscient, which is you see into everybody's mind. And I couldn't think of an example of this personally, so I Googled one. Does anybody have any examples they can think of that's omniscient, so like you see in everybody's mind in the book? That's fine, I couldn't think of one either. So I Googled it, and the one that came up was The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan, which is like the Percy Jackson series, I believe. And I don't know, I know my brother read that one in school, but I don't know if
I'm sure there's people that, how many of you guys have read that? Yeah? Very popular.
It's pretty cool from what I've heard about it. I saw the movie. So I'm going on my list of books to read. And then there's second person, which is you and your. And that one's far less common because it more brings you into the book as a narrator. So like books like the Choose Your Own Adventure series, has anybody read any of those? Did you enjoy that, or did you find it hard to get into?
I didn't enjoy that much.
That's fair. Sometimes you die at the end. Not generally a pleasant thing. And yeah, so it's popular in role-playing games as well, apparently. Does anybody know what point of view To Kill a Mockingbird is in? Okay. So, you might be wondering why I threw those two things together. They're kind of random. But I'd like you guys to write a story in the world of To Kill a Mockingbird, but from the perspective of someone other than Scout. So you can choose any scene in the book that you like, maybe your favorite scene, and then, but write it from somebody else's perspective. So a couple of examples I thought of that you could do were, like, the scene with Walter Cunningham and Scout that got read out last week, like the older Walter Cunningham, when there's the group of them and Atticus at the jailhouse trying to protect Tom Robinson. Or maybe Calpurnia's side of one of her and Scout's arguments. And then, or maybe Jen's thoughts when he went up and touched Boo Radley's house. But there's basically any scene you want from there you can do. Any character, just not Scout's perspective, because we get a lot of Scout's perspective, and she's kind of limited because of her young age. And they keep telling her that she doesn't understand things, and as much as she argues that she understands things, she really doesn't understand everything that goes on, right? So, I'll give you like 10 minutes, and if you're really into it, you can keep going for a while. What do you guys think? Do you have any questions?
Now, something is like at the point where we were talking about Hecate, and Hecate has been called up in court. So can they choose can they
Any
choose the
character
judge,
you want.
any character?
Any
okay.
character. Those were just some examples that I thought of that might be fun.
I didn't even notice that. So automatically.
Thumbs up if you're all ready to hand it in right now.
Yeah.
Good job, Dan.
Okay, so when you're finished your sentence, I'm going to get you guys to give me a little feedback. I'm going to give you an index card, and you don't have to write your name on it, so completely anonymous. Tell me one thing that I did well and one thing that I could improve on, and then when you hand this in to me, you get a piece of candy. So.
Yeah.